All right, the Tupac hologram, you think a good idea or bad idea?
For the thing, I mean, to do concerts and shows every night, I think a bad idea, but it was creative. And for a big show like it was presented on, it was great. The only bad thing about it is the person that did it, Dre,
right,
hated each other. He talked about each other after. Well, Tupac talked about him bad after he left. You know, had issues.
Now, do you think those issues were because Suge was grooming Tupac to take Dre's place, or do you feel there was legitimate?
Let me say this. Suge didn't want Dre to leave. Those two fell out behind a bitch. Chalet. Dre believed Miss Chalet was pregnant by Suge, or got word that she was pregnant. And that was his bitch, but not his woman, you know? But that was the main thing. And Miss Chalet was always pillow talking, telling Suge what was going on between Dre and Jimmy and all of that. And I think Dre finally figured it out. And he never respected her. That's why he never married her or anything. But that was the problem. But Suge didn't want Dre to leave. Tupac didn't. He was new, so he was just riding with what he thought was being said. But they tried to make an issue out of the Snoop trial because Dre didn't want to come and support and do some things on the trial that the attorneys was advising him to do. But to say that Suge wanted Dre to leave, no, that's not. He didn't want. He would today give up that 50% that he got to still have Dre, working and have everything still going the way it was.
Right.
But Dre was tired of all the. Dre and Quik were the only two that was around that were really artists. They didn't like all that negative talk and gangbanging stuff. Quik been surprising me lately of the things he's been saying about Trevon Lane and stuff like that. I don't know where he what his angle is behind that. But Quik was always really a talent. He was an artist. And him and Dre really didn't like all that drama that Death Row was bringing along at the time.
Right. With the quick comments about Trevon and all that, saying he was the guy who ended the dynasty and all that, I guess, would you agree, disagree with what he had said?
Pac was trying to be one of the homies. So I don't think Trayvon's intent was for Pac to run over there and start beating up on the dude. I don't think Trevon even suspected that he would do that. But Pac was trying to be one of the homies at the time. He had MOB tatted on the back of his arm.
And a lot of people, when I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of Tupac fans absolutely, positively refuse to believe that Tupac would ever consider himself affiliated with any sort of gang, blood-wise or anything like that. And this isn't meant for you to air anybody's laundry out or anything like that. But do you think that Tupac's association with guys that were MOB, that were gangs, do you think that was the domino effect that ended his life?
Well, what ended his life was beating up on Orlando Anderson inside of the MGM hotel. And Crips do what Crips and Bloods do. They retaliate when that happens. That's the bottom line. That's what happened. They got retaliated on. Got caught with our pants down. It could happen to me, you, the police, anybody, any day. Riding down the street. If somebody wants to shoot you, it can't happen. Doesn't happen to the president.
And it does happen every day, and that's why, unless you live out there, it's hard to believe that something as simple as if you beat up the wrong guy and he happens to catch you and shoot you, it doesn't matter who you are. Like you said, if you get caught, you get caught, and it could happen to anybody.
It happens every day. It happens to presidents that got caught riding in cars and got shot. That happened to police officers riding in a car that got shot. And it happened to gang members. It happens. It happens. It happened to Biggie.
Yeah.
It happens. You're unsecured in a vehicle. You're at your weakest moment riding down the street in a car.
I'm hesitant to ask this because I don't want to disrespect somebody who had passed away, but without naming names, but people are going to know exactly who I'm talking about. Do you feel the people that were supposed to be working security on Tupac the night he was shot, do you feel they could have done anything differently or they should have been doing something differently that could have resulted in what's going down not happening, or no?
He could have prevented. I mean, quiet as kept. The car that shot and killed Tupac got shot up. Unfortunately, nobody in there got shot. There was some retaliation. That's all you could have did. The person that did is what he did wrong. But he wasn't a good witness. Because that's all that the cops and my security company and the people that work for me was there for. Was to be good witnesses. So Pac and Suge and the people around them, they didn't have to go to court and testify and do nothing or say anything.
Right.
They were just supposed to be good witnesses. They didn't need nobody to be shooting and retaliating and all of that. They didn't need that. They needed somebody to get license plates and get the descriptions of people and all of that. So Pac and Suge and all those people wouldn't have to be snitches. That was their job to go and say, no, this is what happened. The car was a white 1996 Cadillac, license plate number so-and-so, so-and-so. But that's where the person that always want to say he's the friend and this and this and that, that was he was supposed to do it. But he was so busy in Hollywood, and as he said, smoking weed and all that stuff with Pac, where he couldn't do his job. But that's why he ended up killing himself to this day, because he was a coward.
What do you think about the constant DVDs, conspiracies?
They got who they can hire. The people came at me and wanted me to do stuff and to talk and say this and that. But they got who they can hire, and they told him what they wanted to say. He was a whore. They paid him to say what he wanted to say, and that's what happened. R.J. Barnes paid him to say what he wanted to say. And that's what he said. And that's what they did for their 15 minutes of fame and for their little bit of money that they profit from.
The Euphanasia, the chain Tupac got a couple of days before he went to Vegas, the big circular, you know what I'm talking about? There are some people that worked at the office, talked about how a couple of days after Tupac passed, that chain was pretty much blood-stained, and was brought into the office, just to kind of let people pay their respects or anything like that. Number one, is that story true? And number two,
I never heard that, but I had possession of the chain, and I took and delivered it to his mother. And I remember her crying and so sad, and she wanted it to stay in that condition of blood stain and all of that. There was a stupid fool that was running the company at the time, Norris Anderson, Suge's brother-in-law, and I could see him doing something crazy like that, letting the people look at it and stuff like that. But
she's got the chain, right?
She got the chain.
Like, there's no mystery.
There's no mystery.
Okay.
I don't know where that comes from, but I delivered the chain to her at her hotel, and she was staying at the one in Westwood. I forget the name of it, but it was a hotel in Westwood. I took to Feeney and gave it to her. She might have lost it, or I don't want to be disrespectful. She might have lost it.
Okay.
Or somebody took it from her, but I know I delivered it to her.
Right. Okay.
A couple of weeks after Pac's death.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest misconception about the label at its prime? With 2Pac, Snoop, everything selling, everything going good. People always tend to focus on the negative and what should have been done or could have been done but wasn't. What do you think is the biggest, I guess, lie out there that is not true? That's something that just
the artist was unhappy and wanted to leave. Neither one of them. Snoop was probably a little unhappy at the time, and that was just because he said something on the radio that made 2Pac furious. And 2Pac was upset and was threatening to have him jump or beat up at the studio when we got back home because he felt that he showed the East Coast that we wasn't a family and that we wasn't one. But that would eventually blew over. That was the only reason Snoop wasn't sitting in the car in the back seat probably that night. But other than that, they were all happy. 2Pac wasn't thinking about leaving to go anywhere, especially while he still was out on a appeal bond. That's what's so funny to me. And that shit's going to have him killed on a Las Vegas strip. For people to even think that or utter that is crazy thinking. Those niggas were thinking about partying that night. They wasn't thinking about setting up someone to be shot and killed.
Let alone somebody sitting 3 feet away from him.
Exactly.
So, your relationship with Suge today, is it non-existent, pretty much?
Pretty much. I just elect not to communicate with him anymore because we're on different paths in our life. And 47 years old now, and I'm not still trying to be in clubs.
Yeah. After Suge got out and you ended up, leaving, and had you remained in control, what do you think you could have done differently to keep it going?
He definitely wouldn't have had to file bankruptcy. The reason why Suge had to file bankruptcy was not because of lack of money, because he could have got an advance or sold something to recoup, to make money to keep the company afloat. What happened was he pissed off a judge and wouldn't supply things that you're supposed to do. So I felt I would have been able to convince him to hire an attorney to deal with the situation. The stuff with Michael Harris, all he had to do was have an attorney go to court and say, I concur with what Interscope presented to the courts. Interscope got they got dismissed. Michael Harris was paid $600,000 or $300,000, I forget the number, back in 95, 96. But he was a federal informant, and so that's why it got to get back rehashed in the courts, because he was down there testifying when they were investigating Death Row for all the racketeering and stuff that they had, which eventually got dropped. Well, the thing got dropped. We got fined a misdemeanor sanction for some type of tax issue that I think the company got put on probation for a year or two or something like that. But for the most part, nothing was founded. On everything that Harry and all of them was doing. But Suge refused to deal with stuff and hire an attorney to deal with stuff. And that's why the judge was like, okay, I'll show you. and he showed them and gave $100 million judgment for failing, not from a hearing or a court trial or anything, just for failing to respond to a court order.
Because basically they just wanted him to open up his financial records, right? And since he refused to do it, it just went to an automatic judgment for the girl.
I don't even think, even if they would have came in, he would have had some attorneys go to the court and say why he didn't want to open it or why he couldn't. He probably couldn't. Probably didn't have any records that could do it. Because when he came home, he thought he could do everything himself. He started believing in the Michelle bull crowd and the people around him that was giving him bad advice. And he believed it. And, unfortunately, the man don't read or write. So when you don't read or write, you tend to hide from stuff and hope it go away.
Mm-hmm.